friends, you'll be relegated to the not the best friend group. You're afraid of what you're going to lose. It's never about maybe getting another friend for your friend might make your relationship better. The problem with having one friend is that one friend has to be everything. They have to fulfill all your needs. This is very codependent. And the very big problem is when there's a power imbalance where the church member has so much more to lose than the pastor. And pastors expect complete and utter devotion, respect, emotional. They can be very emotional vampires. And when you give them what the dynamic expects, requires, and takes, you're blamed for when they finally leave the equation or the environment and they say, why did you do this? And my response would be, you told me to. And codependency is very different in men versus women. Codependency has been thought to be more assumed to be something that women seem to get into more than men, but this is an assumption. Codependency usually occurs more usually in traditional gender stereotypes. Gender differences affect codependency. Women are usually in the lesser position in a relationship. This puts them in a very vulnerable, very power imbalanced position. And I would say, if you experience codependency, get therapy. The reason codependency is very popular with adults who have low self-esteem, they're people-pleasing, they walk on eggshells emotionally around other people, they have issues communicating, they're very obsessive thinkers. This is going to cause you to be a prime candidate for codependency. Codependent adults have a hard time living independently and maintaining healthy romantic and familial relationships. Children can be codependent. Kids who have issues being away from their parents. When a child's self-worth is tied to pleasing their parents, what they feel as conditional love. Now, codependency shares traits and symptoms with other mental disorders, depression, PTSD, OCD. People who seem to have chronic codependent characteristics, traits, and a paper trail of codependent relationships is more likely to suffer from borderline personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder, BPD or NPD. So how can you stop codependent treatment? How do you stop codependency from rearing its ugly head or becoming unhealthy? The person in a position of inferiority in a power dynamic, set boundaries. Start seeking fulfillment in other places. Don't be dependent on other people. Create distance from codependent relationships and individuals. Seek support from other friendships. Have emotional support systems. Don't be codependent. Learn that if you have healthy dynamics, you shouldn't have fears within reason that somebody is going to leave. Substance abuse can really amplify codependency. That's why in church, this is a big problem. I was never taught about boundary setting, autonomy, professional ethics. And this is a problem. When you rely on one person, usually a heterosexual man of extreme spiritual privilege and respectability, you're creating an environment where your soul, your afterlife, your social interaction, your acceptance in a high control religion hinges on how much you put into this person. And the insidious part is the dynamic of complete membership, obedience, and adoration is set up to screw everybody out. Nobody wins when everyone worships this person. Because later on, they'll gaslight you and say, why did you worship this person? You're supposed to be worshiping God. But if a system is set up to get you to worship the man, not the God, you got an abusive dynamic. So start communicating. Set boundaries. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Get a support group. Get emotional support. Have more friends. Once you start having self-sufficiency, sovereignty, and autonomy, codependency doesn't have roots to grow in your life. To have codependency, you have to have the lack of bodily autonomy, very little to no positive self-esteem. And this is the problem. When people grow up in dysfunctional families, whether it's secular, religious, or a combination of both, children don't learn how to view relationships in a healthy way. Women learn from how their mother is treated and how she puts up with bad treatment. This is how women are supposed to be treated. Sons, they learn that if their mother puts up with bad behavior, that this is acceptable. This is how I should treat women. Children of codependent parents may ignore or negate their own feelings in order to placate or pacify codependent people. I've always wondered if several people in my family are covert narcissists because of how codependent everything is. Codependency is not a diagnosable mental health condition. There's really no medical consensus. There's no evidence